Hello and welcome to CSRlive. Today we have with us John and Rakesh joining us from all the way from the States. And thank you so much, guys, for being here. And so let's start with our chat. Let's start with our conversation. So just for our audiences first, can you just briefly give an introduction about you and the organization?
Sure, let me go first. Nishant, Varun, everybody, thank you for having us here, right? So my name is Rakesh. I'm based out of Dallas in Texas, and I run the strategy and solution for the organization Innover Digital, right? And Innover as an organization, we have been in business for last 4 years, extremely focused on building connected and insights-driven businesses for our clients and customer, right? And connected and insights-driven are two key areas where we focus a lot. And keeping that in mind, we have been doing a lot of work in the digital experience space, a lot of work in software engineering space, and a lot of work in data and analytics space. And almost 3.5 years ago, we started working with non-profit organization, right? And that's where our relationship with John started. And I let John introduce himself in some time. But we started working very closely with non-profit organizations. And what we realized was from a digital experience standpoint, right? And connecting to their members, their customers, their donors, their mission, they are using a lot of digital technologies, but it's not really at the stage which will really give them the next lift, right? And with John, we started working on building that new age experience platform targeted towards driving member and donor experience in the digital space, right? Because these are individuals. While they're engaging with nonprofits, they are also engaging with Amazons of the world, Ubers of the world, Airbnb of the world, and they are getting a different experience than what they get from nonprofit organizations. So that difference was what we were trying to bridge and truly build a solution that allows us to give them that right digital solution that can allow them to engage better, right? And while we did that as a project and implementations for customer, we realized there is a huge market for us to focus on if we were able to bring our knowledge and create a product out of it, a very low touch product, because not all profits have the money and the time to spend by Adobe's of the world, Salesforce of the world, and implement it, right? They're looking at a very turnkey kind of a solution, something that can come in quickly. And that's where the idea of InnoRace germinated along with our conversation with John, right? And John was pioneer in bringing that idea to us, saying that, guys, you've done something very phenomenal. Can we productize it so that now everybody can get it, right? And that's where InnoRace was born, where it's a SaaS platform, right? Which all nonprofits can use to clearly change the experience they want to give to their members, donors, without really having to, the beauty is without really having to rip or replace your old technology. And that is the biggest challenge. If you have to go and change everything at the back end, nobody can do it. So that's the background, at least at a very high level, about me, the company, and the product. I'll take a pause. I'll let John introduce himself, and then
Yeah, surely. You would like to hear from John as well?
Sure. Thanks, Rakesh. My name is John Sullivan. Until last June, I was the Chief Information Officer at the American Chemical Society. And before that, I had spent my career with a number of other nonprofits, including AARP, the American Occupational Therapy Association, the National Society of Professional Engineers, and the American Association for Justice. I left a full-time position last June to open my own advisor firm because I did see a pattern of capabilities that were missing in the marketplace for many organizations. And as Rakesh mentioned, about 3 years ago, Innover came to the American Chemical Society and helped us modernize the approach that we use to interact with our members. And we were able to do it without having to lift or transform all of our legacy applications. And I think that this is the kind of thing, if it were available to many organizations, that would really be a dynamic addition to the nonprofit marketplace around the technology that serves this industry.
That's absolutely fantastic. So just before going ahead with our questions, there's one fundamental and basic question that I would want to know from both of you guys. That so this technology, this how Rakesh was mentioning, how it can be helpful for the non-profit organizations if technology can serve them in a very fruitful way. But how do you make the NGOs believe that this is the right thing for them, and how do you approach the NGOs, and do you have some criteria where you select some specific type of non-profit organization for everybody?
I will let John start that, and then we will add on from my perspective. John, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Well, many nonprofits, particularly membership organizations, their value proposition has been disrupted by technology. In the past, these nonprofit membership organizations achieved many of their values by being the place where people could network. You had to be a member of your professional organization, for example, in order to maintain relevance in your profession. Technology has overcome that, and using tools like LinkedIn and other community professionally focused technologies, the value proposition for these membership organizations has been disrupted. And technology can help balance the scales with the competition. And the competition that these organizations face is not just other membership organizations. People have gotten accustomed to the kind of interfaces and interactions with technology that they find when they go to consumer sites, whether it's Amazon or Google. And so the expectations have been ratcheted up. And the organizations in the nonprofit sector specifically face challenges in being able to compete because they are stuck on legacy platforms that are very difficult to transform.
All right, got it. Rakesh, I would like to hear your views as well.
Sure. And I think John covered it very well, right? The other area that I would like to highlight, right? The change is driven through the fact that also with non-profits, right? They are also trying to engage more and more the younger diaspora, right? They want to go to the millennials, Gen Z, whatever you want to call them, Gen X. I'm sorry, I don't know what they're called now, but the idea is they also want to go down that value chain, because one of the biggest challenges you saw what happened, and this is a very big trend in non-profit, is they engage very well with students, because a lot of non-profit membership and associations that John mentioned, they are very much part of the academic progress. Like for ACS, for example, they have so much research around chemistry, chemical research, that at a student level, at university level, you're engaging. But once you graduate out of that, you somehow lose touch, right? You're not able to continue that engagement, because now there is a different kind of experience that you want when you are working, when you have a job, when you have different lifestyles. So I think that push towards trying to attract younger generation and make them motivated, that also gave nonprofits a big need to say, you know what, younger generations will not come to a clunky website. They will not go to a website, and then if they have to buy 4 different things, they're not going to click 4 different times and go through 4 different journeys. They want to have, okay, I put everything together, look at it and just go, right? And that's how we have trained, right? All of us, if you look at it, I don't think we'll go and buy in any platform where if you have to buy 4 things, you have to check out 4 different times. You will never go there. You want to be in one, you just buy one. And so if you put that lens, every nonprofit realize that it's time for them to start changing, right? But the challenge is, it is a huge uplift from a technology standpoint, because you can't change the legacy. And everybody cannot go and implement. You know about Adobe implementations. They are expensive, they're long. Salesforce implement. So that is the gap, right? And that is where the need, and all nonprofits recognize it, whether you're a donation driven organization, whether you are association organization, because donation, every nonprofit has a donation level, right? But on top of that, they can have memberships that they sell, they can have journals that they sell, they can have subscriptions. So everybody is looking for it, right? If you look at it from the market segment.
But as you rightly mentioned, like as nonprofits are aiming more and more of millennial or the younger generation's involvement in it, nobody has a time, as you said, to go and look at something 4 times. So that is absolutely correct what you mentioned. So coming to my next question, and of course it is for both of you, Rakesh and
I wanted to pick up on something before you move on that Rakesh was talking about, and that is this notion that the younger people are where the target is. Many, many, many organizations have a challenge that once those students graduate, there's a gap where they leave the organization, and many of them never come back. And part of the reason that happens is that these organizations can't understand where the value proposition is for the different generations of members and prospective members. And part of that is because they lack a complete picture, because of the kinds of siloed transactions and systems that Rakesh was discussing presents real challenges for organizations to move forward rapidly, particularly nonprofits.
Correct. That's absolutely right. But just moving forward, John. Now, I would just like to direct this question to you. What in your opinion are like some of the latest trends that could the nonprofits can adopt to optimize their fundraising system? Because as Rakesh also mentioned, there are different types of nonprofits, and majorly most of them work on donations or fundraising where they have to need they need the monetary support. So are there some latest trends there out there that they can use to optimize their fundraising process?
Are you talking about tools or approaches at this point? What's your question?
I think we can start with the tools. If there are any specific tools out there that nonprofits can use.
Well, the interesting thing is there are a lot of tools out there that are capable tools, but the organizations have to be ready to take advantage of them. And so often with the existing tool sets, they're not ready to take advantage of the new tools because it requires so much change on their part in order to take advantage of those new tools. And so the kinds of tools that will be interesting to these organizations going forward are the ones that can be applied to their organizations without requiring a wholesale transformation of all of their legacy architecture. When organizations do these huge transformations, they almost never achieve their outcomes, their desired outcomes. They get mired in the details. They get tangled up in the data conversions, and what results is a less than ideal implementation of a new platform, and they face many of the old problems that they had. The kinds of tools that Innover is releasing are the kinds of tools that allow these organizations to progress without having to do the huge legacy transformations and upgrades.
So are you saying there's resistance to change in the organizations, or is it because it is too complex for them to change their whole architecture, like the system they are based on?
Well, one of the biggest challenges that these organizations face is that their value proposition has been disrupted by other technologies and competitors. And one of the things that these organizations have, how the technology stack in the nonprofit space has evolved over time, has resulted in most organizations having a central association management system that handles many but not all of their needs. And then for the critical areas, whether it's scholarly publishing or events management or events registration or certification or any of a number of other things, these organizations have requirements that end up with them getting very specific applications to meet very specific needs. This creates a siloed environment that prevents these organizations from leveraging the data that they have and presenting a membership experience or an individual experience that is seamless and unified and simple and clear. And that is what these organizations desperately need. They need to be able to communicate with their members in a single stream. They need to be able to present to their members the entirety of the relationship that they have with the organization so that they understand the value that they're receiving when they're paying their dues or making a contribution. And I'm excited, the American Chemical Society is a well-heeled organization, a global scientific publisher. They have the resources to be able to invest in technologies like this for one-off, just for themselves. That is very rare in the nonprofit space. The level of resource and technical expertise required to do that is a serious and heavy lift. And what Innover is doing within Arrays is providing these really critical capabilities to organizations at a price point and in a manner that will allow them to progress rapidly to present their members, their donors, with a better experience, one that drives results. I mean, clearly there's research that shows that nearly 3/4 of nonprofits, 74%, say a digital transformation is a need to have or a must have. Only 12% say they're ready. And I would say that the gap there between 74, 12, and 100 are people that also desperately are in need of these kinds of transformations. So this is a very timely release, and I'm excited to see how this tool helps many organizations progress rapidly and improve their future prospects and help them really pursue their missions and achieve their outcomes.
All right, that's wonderful. Now, coming to my next question, Rakesh, it is for you actually. What do you think like the future holds for the non-profits when we see technology coming into action, like companies like Innover coming out with Innover and stuff? What exactly do you see in the future for the NGOs? Like, and how can we expect it to leverage it and get better?
So I think it's a very interesting question, right? And I'll just drop parallel, right, Varun? So where non-profit is today in terms of the thinking of digital technology, or not thinking, actually they're thinking, but usage of digital technology, they are retailers 5 years ago, right? So if you looked at retail business 5 years ago, the biggest challenge was not that they did not have technology. It was, how do I integrate all of that to truly understand who Rakesh is and what Rakesh is doing with me across my brands? And that is the fundamental. So if you look at Unilever, or if you look at P&G, or you look at Big Bazaar, you look at any large retailer 5-6 years ago, their biggest problem was, I know Rakesh buys brand A, brand B, brand C, and brand A, brand B, brand C knows what Rakesh is doing. But collectively, me as an organization have no idea what Rakesh is doing. And I cannot really then engage Rakesh. You go buy a holiday from Make My Trip, they will keep just sending you the same holiday over and over again. I just went to Thailand. I will not go to Thailand for the next 1 year or 2 years, right? Why do you keep sending me promotions of Thailand over and over again? The problem is that visibility of a member or an individual was lacking in it, and retailers went ahead and spent all that money and technology, right? And that's where non-profits are coming, right? If they were to some extent build and it's not one technology that will solve it. It's not like, hey, I can go and do Adobe Commerce, hey, I can go do Salesforce Marketing Cloud, or I can do XYZ technology. No, the idea is, how do you layer it up with a goal that you can really understand how an individual is engaging with your cause, right? Because remember, all these nonprofit have a very powerful mission. They exist for a purpose, right? They may exist for education, they may exist for children, they may exist for scientific advancement, they may exist for clinical research. So they have mission, and the power of the mission is only multiplied by how many people are associated with the mission, right? And donation is I would say donation is the easiest way to engage, right? Hey, you know what? Request somebody to donate money. That's good. But the point is, if Rakesh went and donated you $100 last year, I'm sure Rakesh had some interest in knowing what you will do with that $100, how you are changing the cause, how you can engage Rakesh further, right? Make him more motivated. That is the problem they're having. They're not able to engage beyond, right? Because it's very clunky. So what we are seeing nonprofits go, what ACS does, or what AARP is thinking about, what American Society for Clinical Oncology is thinking about is, can I create a solution where two things? Imagine how many times you go to an app of Flipkart or Amazon or Uber in a day, right? Leave a month. Maybe you're going there 3 times a day, 4 times a day. Non-profit people are going maybe once in 6 months, once in a year. That is not the engagement they want. They want engagement of someone, if not every day, 2 times, at least once a week, engaging with us, trying to look at what is going on, how we are changing, right? So build a platform that allows you to create that kind of a relationship with individuals, and that's what they're all trying to go towards, right? So that will need combination of technologies. You need a better web content management solution that can personalize. You need a better e-commerce solution that can bring in integrated cart. You need technologies to understand web analytics like Adobe, Google. Then you need to bring in the unified data platforms, which CDPs, which commercial business. But nonprofits cannot go and implement all this, right? So they are thinking about it and they're trying to bring this. For us, the biggest change that we are seeing is, and I think more than technology, it is a mindset change. Is, hey, you know what? It's an individual relationship. We have to build a solution that allows us to build a more experience-driven relation. And that's what they're investing in. And I think they will continue to grow there. And I think no matter how big or small the nonprofit is, they understand that challenge. There is no nonprofit who's sitting there saying that, you know what is working is fine. No, everybody I think is very acutely aware of where they want to go. It's just that who can move faster and how we as a technology partner in that space can accelerate that journey for them, right? That's the thought process that we think nonprofits are going through. And I think we can help them at least in some way to kind of accelerate that journey.
I'd
So,
like to
so
pick up on
Rakesh,
something you said. I'd like to pick up on something you said and amplify it, Rakesh. You were talking about how these platforms, how nonprofits desire to engage members more regularly, and how the profile of the episodic return of people is much more spread out for a nonprofit. Someone might come to the website for twice a year instead of twice a day. And yes, there is research that shows if you get somebody to engage with you, they're more likely to renew. There is also, and this is also incentive for the investment. There is also this concept of what used to be called mailboxers. These are people who believe in your mission, who want to join your organization, who want to be associated with your organization, but they don't necessarily want to show up every day. It is still important to have that real, slick, nice, seamless user interface for those occasional users. It's even more important to provide them that consistency of look and feel across your platforms so that when they do come back, there is a familiarity that they sense and builds over time. It is very important.
basically, as Rakesh also mentioned, I think engagement is the key word here, whether it is for a person who's visiting your platform like twice or once a day, or whether it's for the person who's coming like once a week. So, but they have to find that same consistency or the same user friendliness on your platform so that they can return again and again. If I'm not
80,
right.
I don't know what it is in most organizations, but in all organizations, but in most nonprofit professional membership organizations, you have about 3 to 5% of the people that are super active. And then you have 95% of the people that want particular benefits. And what we need to do as an industry is we need to get out of the way and allow these members to have that kind of choice when they come to us. Do they want to engage with us every day? Do they want to engage with us once a month? And if it's once a month and that's what they want, these organizations should not be forcing them. They should simply be providing them with this great experience when they do come. Thanks.
Absolutely, actually, that's fair enough. And I think I picked on one very interesting thing that Rakesh mentioned earlier, that if a person, for example, if anybody is donating any kind of amount to any organization, they would of course want to know what is happening with that, if they are attached to the mission of the organization, if they feel like they can connect to what the organization stands for. So I think we need a more transparent system in the operations as well, in the working as well, that the person who is giving any kind of amount to the organization should get to know what is happening and where is it, how is it exactly being spent, or like in whatever way. So now coming to my next question, and it's actually for both of you. How important do you think CSR is for non-profit organizations in today's time? How important do you think, how important of a role CSR is playing in today's time?
So to me,
John, I would like to start with you.
I'm not understanding the question.
So what I mean is, so we all know about corporate social responsibility, right? So in especially in countries like India and all, CSR, the corporates work like their CSR money through NGOs and through non-profit organizations, right? So my question to both of you is, on a global level as well, how important do you think the CSR is in today's time?
John, you want to take that first, or you want me to go first?
I'm still trying to.
Let me answer the question, and John will get it. So see, corporate social responsibility. I think every large corporation, even to not large, even smaller like us, in a way, right? We are involved in CSR activities at our level, right? So every corporation that is out there is trying their best to continue to invest in the society around us, right? And they can choose different causes around it, right? It could be around children's education, it could be around environmental sustainability. There are a lot of corporate social responsibilities that is going on, right? For us, and
But CSR is you're talking about corporate
Social,
responsibility?
yes.
Okay,
CSR.
gotcha. I got you. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure what you meant by
the
that. I got
corporate.
it. All right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
See, the relationship then between the corporations and non-profit organizations becomes even more important, right? And remember, there are and I'll take an example of ACS here. So ACS partners a lot with large corporations, Johnson and Johnsons of the world, DuPonts of the world, and large corporations, right? And they have invested together to advance, in case of ACS, the whole notion around chemistry, what is happening around there, bring the chemist world together and continue to bring in molecules. All those huge research is going on, right? But at the end of the day, you know what happens is, it's never those two organizations that are engaging for a cause. It's people in the organization that need to get connected and build that cause. You're getting my point? I can, as Innover, go ahead and say that I'm going to spend $100,000 on educating the student. There is nothing called Innover unless Rakesh, Jyoti, Varun, we go and engage with now the next level to kind of start engaging. And non-profit by itself cannot advance education unless they can start engaging with people to be part of the mission. So for us, that integral aspect of corporate responsibility then also needs to go down to the value that the employee of that particular organization understands, and then the engagement that employee does with those non-profit to drive those calls, right? And that's where this whole idea that while corporate social responsibility is very critical and every organization will continue to do it, and I see this expanding, right, especially around sustainability and the world that we live in, people will continue to focus on more and more because we all know the challenges that we are facing. But how does that translate to an employee level engagement? Every employee being motivated rather than it just becoming I'm using this in air quotes, and please, you can refine it as you want to print. Sometimes CSR just becomes, hey, you know what, a good to have. Every company wants to throw it out there. We do CSR, we do CSR.
Absolutely.
How you want to drive it comes down to how much employees are motivated to engage, right? So that's how I see it. It will continue to grow, but engagement, and fundamentally the engagement that we are talking about building with the individuals about a mission, is still very critical, because J&J can say that I want to solve hunger and partner with XYZ organization. But unless J&J employees are getting invested with that XYZ organization to truly drive that, we will not get the kind of results we expect, right? That's just my thought.
Absolutely. And I absolutely agree with most of the points you said here. And sometimes CSR does become something that the companies, have for their, gaining the goodwill or something. But surely the scene is changing, and, everybody is very, very devoted
At
towards the
least
social responsibility.
in the United States, for example, like let's talk about this. This is an important topic with some nuances. You have CSRs, which are your corporate responsibility, service organizations that contribute to nonprofits and engage with the nonprofit community. You also have nonprofit organizations who focus on corporations. For example, in the chemistry world, the American Chemical Society is largely known as the home for individual chemists. It has many corporate customers, as was mentioned earlier. But there's the American Chemistry Council, and that is the one that, in the United States at least, focuses on the commercial entities and gives them a foray into the nonprofit world directly. And of course, all nonprofits look to those CSRs to fund awards, to fund grants, to fund research, to engage with these organizations and help offset the expenses that come with pursuing their missions.
Absolutely. So just before wrapping up the session, there's just one very important question that I want to know from both of you, but from different perspective. Is that so? We spoke about a lot of gaps that there exist, and there are a lot of gaps that needs to be filled. So how exactly is Innorace filling those gaps, or becoming a bridge between the nonprofits and the others? And I want to know it from the technological point of view from Rakesh, and from John, of course, from the nonprofit organization's point of view. Like, how exactly is Innorace becoming that bridge here?
Well,
So
maybe, yeah, I'll go first, and then Rakesh.
yeah, we can start with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I am actually going to start from the technology standpoint. There are a lot of things that have been kind of technology standards in the nonprofit space for a long time, but there are some very specific weaknesses. Historically, organizations don't have a customer identity and access management solution that is not part and parcel of some other application, like their association management system or their CRM database. These organizations also lack an integration layer, a layer that allows these applications to talk to one another in real time. There are lots of integrations out there from vendors in the nonprofit space, but almost all of them are kind of lift and shift of the data. And so that integration layer is absolutely key. And that identity management and that integration layer are required to achieve the holy grail of unified e-commerce. And that's really that unified e-commerce provides you the ability to capture the knowledge you need to serve your members well, and it captures the data that you need to do better development. It gives you more control of your transactions. It presents many benefits to the organization. And I'm really excited to see how this product does in the marketplace. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this conversation.
Absolutely, that's amazing. And Rakesh, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, so my perspective, I think I will break it down on a customer journey and kind of just tell you where Innover comes into play, right? So if you were to look at, there are 4 large areas of steps that need to happen, right? One is what John said. When someone comes, that identity and access, right? Somebody comes in, you need to at bare minimum know who's coming to your website, right? And how do you attract them to sign up so that you can know more, right? Because we are living in a world where privacy is an important thing. While yes, you can put cookies are going to go away, you know that things are changing. So anonymous personalization is going to get more and more challenging, right? So the first thing that then becomes more important is, how can I attract everybody who lands on my site to be excited enough to sign up for me? Just sign up and create an account. Because the moment you sign up, you know that you give the rights to at least some bit of information I can gather from you. So that's the first step, identity and access, right? The second is ability to understand everything that a nonprofit does. Because see, you sell products, you sell services, you sell memberships, you want donation. There are multiple different things that you want me as an individual to interact with you, right? But I cannot go to 4 places and understand what you do. I want one place where I can understand everything, right? That integrated offering that we can build together. Then comes what John said is unified cart. At the end, you want to put everything together and pay once, right? You don't want to go pay. So that's where unified shopping experience becomes the 4th pillar. And the 3rd pillar, the 4th pillar then becomes as every data point that I've collected throughout, right? How can I use it to better engage with you when you come next time? For example, I'll just make it real. You came in and you donated for, say, saving the environment. You donated for environmental cause. And you also signed up for a webinar that is talking about green and renewable energy. So now you did that exercise. Now, next time when you land on my homepage, why should I show you something else other than some banners and some ads or something that is pertinent to now around environment and sustainability? Because you have told me your interest. How can I then, because nonprofit may have hundreds of webinars going on, they may have hundreds of events going on, they may contribute to 50 causes, right? They may have different chapters, but as Rakesh, you know that I got interested in these things. When I log in again or come in, you should show me things of my interest so that I can quickly go through that. So that getting that integrated view of the customer journey and then being able to use that to personalize the engagement next time, right? That's the 4th pillar of this whole conversation, right? And how we are building Innover is kind of tying different technology does this work, just so you know. It's not one technology that will give you all these things. We are tying Innover to kind of build. We have Google Analytics there. We have Magento Commerce there. We have now pre-built integrations, almost 25 plus pre-built integrations, because Innover by itself will not solve everything that the nonprofit has to do. It solves a problem, but it needs to now engage with, John mentioned, it has to integrate with what we call as association management solutions of the organization. It needs to integrate with CRM solution. It needs to integrate with marketing automation solution. We have now built the whole pre-built integration on the platform, right? Because the core idea that building this solution on is the effort that it will take for nonprofits to start utilizing this platform Innover has to be minimal. We cannot be in a position where they have to rip and replace their whole backend before they can use Innover. Nobody will use it. So Innover kind of sits on top and has the pre-built integration to now take away the experiences or clunky engagements across different platforms, bring the experience into an integrated, seamless, very intuitive and personalized fashion. And still your backend platforms will do what they do. Your association management will still do the association management operational activity. Your CRM will still be your CRM solution. You'll still use marketing automation solution for email campaigns, SMS campaigns, and all those promotions that you want to run it. But everything will be channeled through InnoRaise, and InnoRaise will own the experience, right? And that's how we have positioned it, right? And that's very exciting.
And then that sounds very, that sounds very promising. And I think it is very much needed in today's scenario that, we have this integrated system so that it can actually fill those gaps and, make the non-profits function better, if I may.
Yeah.
So that it's very exciting for us to be here to, witness this whole shift and change in the market of non-profits and, how it's actually going to make them grow better. So thank you so much, Rakesh and John, for joining us here on CSR Live. And I hope we get you back soon, very, very, very soon. And we can talk about InnoRaise more, and we can talk about how it has created a difference in the market and in the non-profit organization sector. So any last words for our audiences?
My only last word is for anyone who's listening and made it to this far, thank you. I think you're going to get value out of it. When Rakesh talks about Magento is an e-commerce platform that really has been adopted by Adobe, and the technology is proven. And in order to present an affordable option for nonprofits, we will be using a Innover's version of Magento, much like your Red Hat Unix. You have a supported version from Innover under the e-commerce platform, and it's flexible and powerful, and it has been proven to be able to integrate in real time with association management systems.
So thank you, John. And last point for us is, I think John touched, I forgot completely about it. We very cautiously build this whole platform using open source, because moment I went commercial products, the license cost then reduces the value proposition of this platform for smaller nonprofits. So the whole platform is built out on open source, which will be end-to-end managed and provided by Innover, right? So that way the cost of operations and getting started becomes substantially lower as compared to what's commercially out there, right? So that's very exciting. And for us, this is a journey that we are starting, and we are very excited about it, and we'll love to come back and talk about, hopefully, in a few months, what success we have had.
Thank you for including me.
We'd love to have you back and talk about the success you guys have had. Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be a great success for everybody and for the non-profit sector as well. So thank you, John, and thank you, Rakesh, for joining us here. Thank you.